My legs gave out right in the middle of my wife's birthday party. 1 second I was carrying a tray of carved ribeye toward the dining table. The next, the room tilted, chandeliers spinning, laughter warping, and I hit the marble floor hard enough to rattle the plates. "Stop this circus, Daniel," my wife snapped before anyone even checked if I was breathing. "That's my name. Daniel Reeves. 34. Financial analyst. Reliable. Predictable. Invisible when necessary." Her mother didn't rush to help either. She stood beside the cake table, lips curling into a thin smile. "He always needs attention at the worst time," she muttered loudly enough for half the guests to hear. "You're ruining her celebration." I tried to push myself up, but my hands trembled. My vision blurred around the edges like someone was dimming the lights. Someone finally called 911. Not my wife. Not her mother. One of my coworkers. The paramedics arrived fast. Efficient. Detached. But when the ambulance doctor knelt beside me, pressed 2 fingers against my neck and looked into my eyes, her expression changed. She didn't stand up. She didn't reassure anyone. She slowly sat down beside me. And then she whispered something that made my wife turn pale. "Call the police." The room went silent in a way that didn't belong at a birthday party. Not confused. Not concerned. Afraid. The doctor didn't raise her voice. She simply kept her fingers on my pulse, her eyes scanning my face with sharp, clinical focus. Then she looked up at the second paramedic. "Bag this plate," she said calmly, nodding toward the steak I had been carrying. "And don't let anyone touch the table." A murmur rippled through the guests. My wife laughed nervously. "This is ridiculous. He probably skipped lunch. He does that for attention." But the doctor didn't react. She leaned closer to me. "Daniel, can you hear me?" I nodded weakly. My tongue felt thick. Metallic. "Did you feel dizzy before this?" "Yes." My voice barely came out. She turned her head slightly toward my wife. "What medications is he on?" My wife hesitated. "Too long." Her mother answered instead. "Just vitamins." "He's dramatic." The doctor's jaw tightened. She stood slowly. "I need officers here immediately," she said into her radio. "Possible toxin exposure." The word hit the room like broken glass. Toxin. My wife's face drained of color. And for the first time that night, she looked scared of me. Possible toxin exposure echoed in my head like a delayed explosion. Guests began stepping back from the dining table as if the linen itself had turned radioactive. Someone knocked over a wine glass. Shattered. No one moved to clean it. My wife finally rushed toward me, but she didn't kneel. She hovered. Calculating. "This is insane," she whispered sharply. "Daniel, tell her you're fine." "Fine." My vision pulsed black at the edges again. My heartbeat felt wrong. Too fast. Then too slow. The doctor had already slipped on gloves. She lifted the plate of steak into an evidence bag with careful precision. "When did he start eating?" "He hasn't," my coworker said from behind her. "He was serving." The doctor's eyes flicked toward my wife. "Who prepared the food?" "My mother and I did," she answered quickly. Too quickly. Her mother folded her arms. "Are you accusing us of something?" "I'm documenting," the doctor replied evenly. Sirens wailed in the distance. Closer. I tried to sit up again. My wife leaned down finally, not to comfort me, but to hiss in my ear. "You're making a scene. Do you have any idea what this will do to us?" "To us. Not to me." That's when I realized something colder than the marble beneath me. This wasn't an accident. The police arrived before the cake was even cut. Uniforms. Flashing lights reflecting off crystal glassware. Guests whispering behind manicured hands. I was lifted onto a stretcher, but I kept my eyes open. I needed to see their faces. My wife stood rigid near the kitchen entrance. Not crying. Not panicking. Thinking. Her mother was already defensive. "This is outrageous. You're treating us like criminals over food poisoning." The doctor didn't respond to her. She walked beside my stretcher. "Daniel," she said quietly, "have you noticed anything unusual recently? Taste changes? Headaches? Fatigue?" I swallowed. "Fatigue. Yes. For weeks. Headaches that wouldn't go away. And that metallic taste every morning in my coffee. I hadn't made my own coffee in months. My wife insisted on doing it. Said it was her way of taking care of me." A police officer approached her near the doorway. "Ma'am, we'll need to ask a few questions." Her smile looked rehearsed. "Of course. This is all a misunderstanding." But when the officer mentioned sending the food for lab testing, her mother grabbed her wrist. "Art. Too hard. And in that silent exchange between them, I saw fear. Not confusion. Fear of being caught. The ambulance doors shut, sealing me away from the party, from the whispers, the stares, the carefully constructed image of my marriage. As the siren cut through the night, the doctor inserted in 4 and monitored my vitals with steady precision. "Stay with me, Daniel," she said. "Your blood pressure is unstable." Unstable. That word felt bigger than my pulse. Bigger than the party. In the fluorescent glare of the ambulance, clarity began to creep in. The headaches hadn't started suddenly. They'd built slowly. My energy had drained month by month. I blamed stress. Or aging. But there was always that faint bitterness in my coffee. That strange aftertaste in soups she prepared. "You said the metallic taste has been happening for weeks?" the doctor asked. I nodded. Her expression hardened. "That suggests repeated exposure." Repeated. Not a one-time mistake. At the hospital entrance, police were already waiting. Efficient. Coordinated. Before they wheeled me inside, I saw my wife's car screech into the parking lot. She stepped out alone. No mother this time. Her composure was gone. Her lipstick smudged. And when our eyes met across the emergency bay, she didn't look worried about losing me. She looked terrified of what I might remember. They moved fast once we were inside. Blood drawn. Monitors attached. Questions repeated. The doctor didn't sugarcoat it. "Daniel, we're running toxicology. Based on your symptoms and the timeline you described, this doesn't look accidental." Doesn't look accidental. That sentence settled heavier than the 4-line in my arm. A detective stepped into the room not long after. Mid-40s. Calm eyes. "Mr. Reeves, I need you to think carefully. Has anyone had access to your food or drinks regularly?" I almost laughed. "Only one person. My wife prepares my coffee every morning," I said. My voice sounded steadier now. Colder. "She insists on it." The detective wrote something down. "Any recent changes in life insurance policies?" "Yes. 3 months ago she convinced me to increase it." "We're building a future," she'd said. "It's responsible." The future. A nurse entered quietly, handing the doctor preliminary lab results. I watched the color drain from her face again, just like at the party. She looked directly at the detective. "Elevated arsenic levels." The word hung in the sterile air. Arsenic. Slow. Calculated. My wife had just walked into the waiting area when the detective stepped out to meet her. And this time, she wasn't controlling the narrative anymore. I couldn't hear every word from inside the hospital room, but I didn't need to. Through the glass partition, I watched my wife's posture shift. At first, she stood straight, composed, arms folded like this was just another misunderstanding she could smooth over. Then the detective said something. I saw it happen in real time. Her shoulders dropped. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes darted toward the exit. Arsenic doesn't leave much room for interpretation. It's not seasoning. It's not contamination. It's intention. A second officer joined the conversation. Papers were shown. I recognized the folder, our updated life insurance policy. The one she had insisted we finalize. We were being responsible, she had told me. Every successful couple plans ahead. Successful couple. The detective gestured toward the hallway. She hesitated. For a split second, she looked toward my room. Toward me. Not with guilt. With calculation. As if measuring whether I was still weak enough to control. Then the cuffs came out. Her expression fractured. "This is insane," she shouted loud enough for the entire emergency wing to hear. "He's overreacting." I was helping him. Helping. The word twisted in my chest. As they led her past the glass, our eyes met one last time. And for the first time in months, I wasn't the one fading. She was. Recovery wasn't dramatic. There was no triumphant music. No cinematic justice speech. Just 4 fluids, monitored meals, and the slow return of strength I hadn't realized I'd lost. The toxicology report confirmed it, prolonged arsenic exposure. Small doses. Consistent. Enough to weaken. Not enough to kill quickly. The detective visited me 3 days later. She admitted to researching it, he said plainly. Online searches. Symptoms. Dosage thresholds. Dosage thresholds. That's what I had become. A calculation. Her mother was charged as an accessory. Financial records showed debt I never knew about. Investments that failed. Credit lines maxed. And my life insurance policy? Recently updated. I was released a week later. The house felt different when I walked back in. Cleaner. Quieter. I made my own coffee that morning. Black. Bitter. Honest. Friends called me lucky. I don't feel lucky. I feel awake. Because here's the part no one talks about. Poison doesn't always taste metallic. Sometimes it tastes like routine. Like comfort. Like someone saying, let me take care of that. My name is Daniel Reeves. And I survived my wife's birthday party. But what nearly killed me wasn't the arsenic. It was how close I came to trusting her forever.